Before we go any further, I need you to really listen to this. What I'm about to tell you took me 75 years to understand. And I promise you, whether you pray every day or have never set foot in a place of worship, this matters to you. So please stay with me for a few minutes. Don't skip ahead. My name is Russell. I'm 75 years old, and my entire life has revolved around one question I believe everyone wrestles with at some point. What do I actually believe? I was raised in a home where Sundays were non-negotiable. We were in church every single week. My father served as a deacon. My mother taught Sunday school. I memorized scripture before I even knew how to tie my shoes. Back then, everything felt clear and settled. The answers were simple, laid out in black and white. And if doubts crept in, you kept them to yourself. But here's something no one tells you when you're young. Life doesn't respect certainty. It throws experiences at you that don't fit neatly into the answers you were handed. When I was 23, my best friend died in a car accident. He was a good man, better than me in many ways. Kind, generous, always helping others. And in an instant, he was gone. I stood at his funeral listening to the familiar phrases about God's plan and a better place, and for the first time in my life, I felt anger. Not sadness, Anna, because suddenly none of it made sense anymore. That anger opened a door I couldn't close. I began asking real questions, not the kind where you already know the approved response. I read everything I could get my hands on. The Bible, yes, but also the Quran, Buddhist teachings, Hindu philosophy, and the writings of people who didn't believe in anything at all. And what surprised me was this: every one of them held something true. Every single one. About 30 years ago, I worked closely with a man who was a devout Muslim. They'll admit, at first I kept my distance. I carried assumptions about what his faith meant, what he must think of me and mine. But one night we were working late, just the two of us in an almost empty office, and we started really talking. He told me about the 5 pillars of Islam, about prayer, charity, compassion, and submitting to something greater than yourself. And sitting there close to midnight, I realized he was describing the same longing I felt every time I prayed. The language was different, the rituals were different, but the hungered desire for connection to something beyond ourselves was exactly the same. Nah, I know what some of you might be thinking. That I'm about to say all religions are the same, or that belief doesn't matter as long as you're a good person. That's not what I'm saying. Not at all. The differences matter. They represent different ways of understanding the mystery of existence, different languages for speaking about things that are nearly impossible to put into words. But here's what matters more than any difference. Every tradition I've studied comes back to the same core message: love people, help people, don't be cruel, be humble, and recognize that you don't have all the answers. I've been in Jewish services, where I felt the weight of centuries of history and survival. I've meditated with Buddhists and experienced a stillness I didn't know was possible. I've worshipped with Pentecostals whose joy would have made my old Presbyterian pastor deeply uncomfortable. And every time, I encountered something real, something honest, something pointing toward truth. But I've also seen the darker side. I've seen religion used as a weapon, families torn apart because someone married outside the faith, teenagers cast out for asking sincere questions. I've seen prejudice justified, cruelty excused, and wars fueled in God's name. And every time, it breaks my heart, because that was never the point. When I was 50, I went through a breaking point. My marriage was strained. Money was tight. I was drinking too much. One night, alone in my garage at 2 a.m, I prayed for the first time in years, but not the way it'd been taught as a child. No memorized verses, no polished language. I just spoke honestly. I said, I don't know if you're there. I don't know if you're listening. I don't even know what I believe anymore. But if there's anything real out there, I need help. I can't do this alone. Nothing dramatic happened. No voice from the sky. No sudden revelation. But the next morning, a neighbor I barely knew knocked on my door and asked if I wanted to get coffee. We talked for 3 hours. He shared his own struggle with alcohol, how he'd found help, and told me about resources I didn't even know existed. Was that God? Was it coincidence? Was it simply human kindness? I honestly don't know. And I've come to believe that maybe the answer isn't as important as we think. The older I get, the less certain I am about the details. I don't know if there's a heaven or a hell. I don't know if we come back again, or if this life is all there is. I don't know which prayers are right or which day is the correct Sabbath. And I'm okay with that now. What I do know that I'm absolutely certain of is that the mystery is bigger than any of us. Bigger than any book, any building, any tradition. And the right response to that mystery isn't certainty. It's humility. Wonder. I see young people walking away from religion, and I understand why. They've seen hypocrisy and judgment. They've been hurt by people who claim to speak for God. I get it, truly, but I want to say this to them. Don't abandon the search for meaning just because some people pose in the well. Don't stop asking big questions because someone gave you bad answers. You don't have to accept everything you were taught. You don't have to stay in a tradition that no longer feeds your soul. But don't stop seeking connection, purpose, and belonging. That longing isn't religious conditioning. It's human. I still attend church most Sundays. Not because I think it makes me better than anyone else. Not because I believe it's required for salvation. I go because there is something nourishing about gathering, singing, sitting in silence, and wrestling with meaning together. I also meet a Muslim friend for coffee every Thursday. I read Buddhist teachings before bed. I learn from atheists who've thought more deeply about ethics and morality than many religious people I know. And all of it has taught me this: the goal isn't having perfect answers. The goal is staying curious, remaining humble, and recognizing that every person carries a piece of truth within when it looks nothing like your own. My wife passed away 3 years ago. We were married for 52 years. In her final weeks, she asked me, "Do you think we'll see each other again?" I looked at her and said, "I don't know. But I hope so. And if there's love and justice at the heart of the universe, then yes." I choose to believe yes. Was that faith, hope, denial? Maybe the label doesn't matter. What matters is this: the most important thing isn't what you believe, but how you treat people because of what you believe. If your beliefs make you kinder, more compassionate, more humble, and more willing to serve others, then they're doing what they should. If they make you fearful, judgmental, or cruel, then something has gone wrong. And that's true no matter what label you wear or whether you wear one at all. I'm 75 years old. If I'm lucky, I have another decade. And I'm still learning, still questioning, still discovering truth and beauty in unexpected places. I wouldn't trade that for certainty. So wherever you are, deeply religious, completely skeptical, or somewhere in between, know this: your questions are valid. Your doubts are not weakness. Your search for meaning is one of the most human things about you. Don't let anyone tell you they have all the answers. The mystery is far too big for that. Stay curious. Stay humble. Love people. Help people. Be kind. Keep asking the big questions. They're what make us human. There's a whole channel here where people my age share what they've learned from living, struggling,